And then one day, you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be like, shit, like I wasted my entire life. It's probably the worst feeling in the world to run out of time and regret that. The worst feeling in the world. And many people, even after they listen to this, will still have those outcomes because it'll go in one ear and come out the other. And that's what happens to most people in society. They go to their regular job. They make median income for individuals $40,000 a year in the United States. Then they go and they go home to their wife or their husband, and they're not happy with them because they don't know how to cultivate the relationships that they want in their life either. And it's just sad. It really is just sad. It's something that I don't like seeing it, and I see it too often. At the end of the day, it's really up to you to make the decision to make that change and go get what you want in life. And that's a huge lesson I learned from you is when you're on this process of learning and engaging with these different activities and learning these different things about stocks, real estate, entrepreneurship, it's ultimately up to you to go implement those things, right? You can spend all day reading books and consuming knowledge, but unless you go actually implement that stuff, you're just going to be an intellectual, and
if books alone would make you rich, then librarians would be billionaires, wouldn't they?
True. Yeah, exactly. They have access to all the knowledge.
You can't help people who don't want to be helped. We only want to be around the ones that want to be helped. Everyone started from zero. Most people didn't inherit the wealth. And those who are at a higher level and see someone grinding and wanting to get up in life, we'll help you up as long as you want to be helped. We got mastermind members that are 18, like Killian. He's doing great.
You'll probably have to get very angry with yourself for a little period of time. That's the pattern that I've seen with people. I've seen with myself. You mentioned that to get out of that gravitational pull of those 8 billion people trying to pull you down, right? Yeah. You'll have to probably get a bit angry with yourself to get out of that. That's what I did, and most other people did too.
If you're not angry with your current circumstances, you're not going to make a sufficient effort to change them. If you're not sufficiently disappointed with your current circumstances, you might be doing way above average. If you're watching this, you probably are. You're probably already very good at something, but you could do better. You could be more. And if you're not sufficiently frustrated or angry with your current circumstances and performing in a way that's below your true potential, they'll never change it.
Thanks to Derek, I ended up learning a lot of skills that I didn't already have. I learned how to invest in real estate much more successfully than I already had been. At the time I had 0 rental properties, and today I'm up to 5 rental properties. I was already successful investing in the stock market, futures and options. But again, with the skills I learned working with Derek, I ended up doing a hell of a lot better. Overall, I'd say from then until now, my net worth is well over doubled from what it was.
You went through my course, and so you had some interest in the stock market.
Yeah.
How did that change your perspective of things?
Completely changed it. Then turned it from this is a weird, I'm going to Vegas kind of thing, and I might win, I probably lose, to, this is shopping. And I'm cheap. I know how to find a deal. Yeah. And I'm going to engage that hunter-gatherer sort of, I'm looking for a deal. And now I know what a deal looks like. Now I know when a company is discounted. This is 70% off. What? Yeah. Old me would have been like, what are you talking about? Now it's that's the numbers you're looking at. Given all my experience with enterprises and looking at how companies work and having been a small business owner, accounting and all these, I can read a report at a 10K and go, okay, I think I understand what's going on here. Yeah. And combining all that knowledge from all those different areas of my life and then having it all synthesized in the mastery course, the markets mastery course, was just priceless.
How's that been for your financial outcomes?
Oh, very, very good. I'm much more comfortable now than pre-pandemic.
You have a group of people say, raise the minimum wage, it needs to be X dollars and no Y dollars, Z dollars. Why don't we make it $1 million an hour? If it's always a great reason, if raising the minimum wage is always a great thing, why don't we just why should it be $1 billion an hour? Well, no, because then you got to go back and look at reality, and supply and demand, as you say, is there's a supply for goods and a demand for goods, and if you make the money worth less, then all the products have to cost more. And you get back to a new equilibrium 2 years later, after 2 years of perverse distortions, you get back to something resembling an equilibrium in a marketplace again. And about that time, some politician wants to add a new distortion. Then it causes more ripple effects and more problems. And who suffers? You suffer. The normal person who doesn't even understand what the hell we're talking about suffers from that. And about that time, a new politician will come, or the same one. You say, we should raise corporate taxes. Well, where do corporations get their money? Oh, from consumers.
Well,
so who pays those taxes? You pay those taxes.
It was kind of back to this macro idea of like, I think most people in the world, they really just want to be left alone and do their own thing, but like the world isn't going to leave you alone, Like governments are going to try to fuck with you, like other people are going to try to fuck with you, right? And to me it was like, well, how can I get to a point where no one can fuck with me, right? And having a job is just not going to be enough to do that, right? If it was, then I would just fuck off and like,
I made a video about that. The title was Unfuckwithable. And the point of that is, if you're making money from your career, that's fine. If you got a little job, that's fine. Good for you. Nice. But if you understood entrepreneurship, you'd advance through that organization much quicker. And you'd get raises, you'd get promotions, you'd be doing a lot better in life. If you then took that capital from your raises and started investing it, even on a small level, and learning about investments, that would start growing some more money.
One of the most valuable things that I found in the Moneyberg ecosystem is just the network of people. Think how valuable that is to meet people with similar values. Finding really good friends, like maybe you have friends right now, but good friends actually make each other better. Like you make each other's life better, you have similar goals. And I bet, just a fact, most people don't have that. Like not one, it's zero. You might people that you think of as friends, but do you really make each other's life better, or you just help to cope each other with life? It's a huge difference. And to have that kind of handed to you on a platter, because that's how I experienced it.
Oh yeah, and in some cases, literally, it gets even beyond that, where if Warren Buffett wanted to buy an entire company, a lot of those shares simply just aren't for sale. Some sellers just aren't interested in selling. And honestly, even some of the stuff we were playing in, like, I remember, one particular day that there was very, very, very thin liquidity. You and I were in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I had done a trade, and I noticed that, the prices of the market shifted. And, I mentioned it to Derek, and I'm like, I'm 90% sure I just moved the price of this stock. And
playing with some options contracts, just to give them context.
With options contracts, yeah. So, Derek's like, well, what option, were you trading on the stock? And I tell him, and he says, well, I'll go. It was actually, we're selling put options, I believe. So Derek's like, well, I'll sell a few of those also. And he sells some, and then again, the stock price moves. And I was like, oh, well, what if we keep on doing this?
We sold a couple thousand contracts that day. And,
and then later on that day, we were meeting with, the Moneyberg group in person. And everyone there was like, "Oh, did you see how much the stock price moved today?" And Derek and I were just like laughing with each other, like, "Oh, really? Did it move?"
This is something that I really can recommend to all of you. If you really want to push it to another level, finding a great mentor and spending a lot of time with him is one of the best things, the greatest things to get to your goals even faster than you think you could. I'm really glad about our friendship that we developed in the last years, and also the business side that we still have, and I'm really looking forward to the time that we will spend together in the next couple of years, and hopefully our lifetimes.
A good mentor is the best thing.
Yeah.
It is the shortcut. I asked a lot of athletes that I interviewed for this program, doctors, lawyers, PhDs, everybody, all of them universally say you have to have a great mentor. You can't live long enough to figure it all out by yourself. Do you got to fucking reinvent surgery in your area? Do you got to? There's a lot of best practices that already exist. You were never going to invent a better way to do it yourself. If you found an okay way to do it, it'd be subpar, and it would take you decades to figure it out. You probably wouldn't do it. Already doing well financially, certainly going to do well without us. Why do you want to be around a group like this? Why do you want to be part of the Moneyberg ecosystem?
I mean, I can think of a trillion reasons, but why would you not want to be around people that are successful or can speed up the learning curve to advance and improve? If I was going to sit here and try to recreate the wheel every single time on any endeavor that I was going on, I'd never fucking get there. If I was going to sit there and, hang out with chumps or do everything on my own, you just can't do everything. You need a team, you need a support group, you need different perspectives, the diverse backgrounds of everybody that come to this. It's it wouldn't make sense not to. And to really want to be financially free and like actually have control of your life as opposed to like trading hours for dollars. And some people like, or not a lot of dollars too at that. Like, I don't want to fucking do that.
Over the past year or year and a half or so, I've got a 40% increase in my salary. Some of them were actually stuff that not a lot of people receive. It's, or you could consider a COVID adjustment, or people call it COVID adjustment, because in my field, there's a lot of burnout happening and people don't want people to leave. So the people who are linchpins or, center to their teams, their managers or directors recognize and, take from that particular budget and just give you another raise. It has worked out tremendously well for me, just being in this like very important position. My manager, honestly, I see him as a buddy, has nothing but praise for me. And when I show up and meet new people on calls and meetings, I always present myself in a knowledgeable manner, and people just will be able to come to me offline and just chat. It's like, hey, you seem like you're expert, subject matter expert of the service. Can you help me out? There's this thing here and there's that thing there. And actually, there's a lot more responsibility. There's a lot more social responsibility than just the engineering job that I'm facing. And that actually, I think, is even more important than just being an expert in the particular technology itself.
The first time I met you, it was immediate that I knew I was on board. It was making a lot of sense. I didn't have any hesitation. So I think if you have an hesitation, that's probably not for you. I would not recommend to come and join the program, because the success has to be thought before. You gotta think like, what do I want in my life? And if you haven't answered those questions, you're probably not gonna be doing good on this program for experience that I have like on the program. If you're one of those people who like, this is making a lot of sense, I'm ready to join. The next step that I would say is like, if you know you here on that program and you wanna join us, you're gonna have to work hard and you're gonna have to make some sacrifice. I don't think for me and for the rest of the group, it was easy. You gotta take some sacrifice in things that you do, because there's only so many things you can do. With success require like a lot of dedication and a lot of sacrifice in other areas. So be prepared like to really having that decision for yourself. And I hope I see you soon.
So as I was saying, the mentoring was so important. I had to kind of realign my career trajectory, so to speak. So now I'm working as a product designer in a furniture firm. That decision in itself came with a 20% salary increase. So that was just kind of from getting around the right people, doing the right things. Anything that I've achieved thus far, there's always been some sort of upfront kind of expenditure. There has to be an upfront, something that you give before you're able to take and before you're able to kind of get that result, as you were speaking about.
The successful people in this world, the people who build companies, the people who are working at companies, the people who are doing entrepreneurial stuff that actually makes money. When you meet these people and you understand how the world works even better, and you understand multiple ways of making money, that's really the only way of realizing your dreams and making the investment you had paid off. When I look at the kind of person that should join this program, I'm really looking at someone who I can bounce ideas off of. I can look at them and say, this guy is doing that and he's learning about this, and I'm fairly confident he's going to be successful. And I want to meet those people. And we have a whole community that we want to get as much smart and as much people with enthusiasm to build a better life.
Well, do you feel more confident? If so, why?
I don't know if it's a feeling. It's just I just know what I'm going to be doing. There's so much clarity. It's any sort of complications that come up in my life. It's what's the solution to this? Blah 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 blah. Not worry about it. What's the solution? How do I figure this out? Think of further in the future. I have the thoughts of like what's going to be the best way, quickest way, lifestyle, this sort of a thing. But it's that $1 million, probably even $10 million in the long run. Now that I think about it, after just a couple of years tripling my net worth, there's got to be a few other market crashes. Mm-hmm. There's no way $1 million isn't there. $10 million once I start getting into real estate.
Understanding the markets was, I think, by far the biggest leap forward in terms of me being able to manage, increase my wealth, mainly because I was able to take, I was making a substantial amount of money through the company I work for. I was able to take that money and then leverage it, and then also, know what I'm putting my money into in a way that makes sense. it can see that there's a cascading effect between the amount of money that you can generate plus the amount of money that you can use leverage to increase that point, furthering that, even to increase that leverage with the real estate type investments. So, I mean, it's very clear the path forward to making wealth. I've personally lived that progress, so, and I'm currently living that progress.
So I got some decent fundamentals just from that on my own, but that was on my own. There wasn't really much guidance. So I started taking some courses related to charisma, just socializing, getting a little bit better. And then I realized at some point you can only socialize so much. At the end of the day, like, you have to have more value that backs it up. And if you just go down the socializing route, that just makes you really good at middle class. Like, you're a really good middle class talker, and people middle class love you, and congratulations, all those people love you. But that's it.
Be well embraced by mediocrity, and
exactly.
That'll be your future as well.
And now you have a glass ceiling, you can't get past it. Eventually I decided, okay, I can't just keep going down this road. There has to be something that'll get me to the next level. I noticed some of your emails, and I noticed there was a business conference coming. So I'm like, this is great. I'll get to see Derek in person, just see how it goes and network. So when I showed up, I immediately met a few clients, and we became good friends. We formed an accountability group. It put a lot of good thoughts in my head that I would practice and reiterate through my accountability group.
If you want to make money and you are shameless about it, I know some of you might feel shame from the way you grew up. Those people, you don't want to take advice from them. You don't want to live their life. So you don't need to hear anything from them. If you are that kind of person, you should join us.
It's the path to prosperity. And another thing I also realized by virtue of taking the course was, if I myself as an individual become prosperous, it's not just me that's becoming prosperous. I'm raising everybody else around me to that same higher standard. If I inculcate successful habits in myself, those same successful habits are going to, by default, rub off on the people around me. So a rising tide raises all ships. Why not be that rising tide?
I was living on my coach's living room on a mattress. I ended up just bouncing at a bar. I'd been a cop, I quit my job. And
Derek Moneyberg presents the 10 Commandments of Wealth.
Took the gamble on myself to become a successful professional fighter and make it to the UFC or Pride. And at the time,
am I making a sacrifice right now, or am I just investing in a better future? So it's easier for me to make those decisions when I think about it. Is like, oh,
yeah, absolutely. And now that you mention it, having to actually really process and think about it, I think that word sacrifice is kind of like, I believe it's the word that the ones at the top kind of use to make everyone else feel better about it. Because when you're at the top, now you realize that was an investment.
Was everything just golden and easy and handed to you, or do you have a little struggle yourself along the way?
No. Yeah, in 2013 and 2015, I was living out of my car, full time, and I was too proud to ask for help. Like, how ridiculous is that? You're living out of your car and you think you know it all. And 2015, that's when I kind of I knew that I didn't know it all. So why not find experts in that and really shortcut that? I thought I was going to just chip away. I thought I was just going to read books till I was an expert. I never really talked to anyone that actually did it.
My entire net worth is up 25%.
I've already seen a 300% rate of return.
5x my net worth.
I'm up 200K.
A 10x return on my investment.
I know for a fact that without working with Derek, none of this would have ever happened.
I make more money than I've ever made in my entire life. I owe that to Derek's advice.
The idea of not taking this and not investing in yourself is insane.